But Hades is there. He shows up, and he's like in the corner, like sulking. And
James Woods.
I love him so much.
James Woods.
He is great, and his voice is amazing. And he's
We're
just
gonna
like,
see him soon, by the way. This is, of course, the Hades Cup.
Sunspot is what he calls him, I think. And he's like all mad. And he's been plotting a thing to take over because he's upset because he was, forced to go into the underworld and he doesn't like it because he doesn't like that.
But you know
Nobody
what?
wants
Sometimes if you're good at your job, you got to do things that you don't like.
Yeah, and you know what? In the original Greek, I think he likes it. I think it's a good thing. I don't know, but he doesn't like it in this.
No, he doesn't like it.
And he's bitter because Zeus gave him the instruction to do the stuff down there. With
So he's
the
like
daddies.
Scar.
He's like Scar.
And
he's
Zeus is like Mufasa.
He's exactly. They look alike.
Stupider
They
Mufasa.
literally look the same too.
If Mufasa slept with every lioness in the
Which
12-mile
probably
radius,
He probably did.
That's how
why
they
wouldn't
work.
he? Did you hear his voice?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably what happened.
James Earl Jones gets all the women. That's
true.
That's fact.
I think we could just talk about Lion King now and it'd be the same story.
Right. We gotta say that for Kingdom Hearts 2, though.
Okay.
That's true.
So you get the idea that he's unhappy about all this stuff, and then he goes back down to the underworld. He's like, I have work to do.
You get the impression
You
that
can
he is
extrapolate maybe that
he's discontent with
Right.
working
Yeah.
conditions.
maybe not the happiest guy with his stage of this
We
career.
don't really know a whole lot yet. He's just a little bitter towards brother, dearest, and then he looks at Hercules and he's like, I hate you. He doesn't really say that.
Yeah.
I hate you, you stupid baby.
And then he goes back and we follow him in the underworld.
He goes home and he writes in his journal, I got that baby today.
Yeah.
I insulted him good.
and he has a piece of meat that was just like in his pocket, and he gives it to Cerberus, which is okay. It's like as big as like a nickel.
Yeah.
And then he throws it, and it's huge, and these huge dogs are fighting for it. I don't
No,
know.
it's still like a nickel though, and they're like
yeah.
ripping it, but it won't rip. And I
Yeah.
was like, that is not a good piece of meat. They should not be eating that.
I know.
They need a good diet.
For some reason, I watched it recently, but before then, that was like one visual that I always remembered. It was weird to me how small it was and how it wouldn't break into
There's
pieces.
3 huge dogs. Even if you gave one dog the whole thing,
Yeah.
it's not enough.
No.
They're growing animals.
I know. How do they live? What do they eat? Human souls.
Sure.
I
don't know.
They're
What
probably
do you mean, sure.
scrumptious.
You're making that up.
It's
Yeah.
not explained, but that's not enough food for a dog.
It's not clear.
3 dogs. It's not clear. Do they share a stomach? Okay, whatever.
I don't know.
I don't know.
They're actually truly scary, though.
They are.
Hydra also really scary, but we'll get to that later.
The Hydra. We'll talk about that.
We will get there.
We'll
We'll
also
talk
get up
about
on
it.
its back.
Yeah.
Yes. So he's on the river Styx. He's going across or whatever, and he's talking. And he goes to visit the 3 people. The women.
Yeah, the witches.
They're not witches though.
They're
They're
not
oracles.
witches. Oracles.
Oracles is what they're called.
Not very good oracles,
No,
by the way.
and they share an eye, and it's weird.
And
I
they
don't
kind of
know.
suck at their jobs.
And they're flirting with Hades. They're like, you're hot, and I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah, and for being able to see the future, they are ugly. Like,
What does that even mean?
I don't
He's saying
know.
they should have offed themselves before they got to that stage.
Yeah.
I feel like if I could tell the future, I would be more attractive.
It doesn't make any sense.
I figure
However,
it out.
the oracles in traditional Greek were hot
Were
women.
super hot, yeah.
they were.
You know, though, he's right, though, because they should have seen the baseball bat, the ugly stick that hit him in the face coming. They should
Yeah.
know.
Or, they could have seen 2014 with all the, makeup compacts and
Yeah.
plastic surgery, and they should know the whole thing.
Yeah. They should, but they
But
don't.
they suck because they don't really see the future. They make it up.
Kind of. And so Hades is like, tell me this thing. I want to do this. And they're like, this is fine. You can take over the world. But you have to be sure that Hercules...
A word of caution to
Oh,
this tale.
exactly.
Should Hercules fight, you will fail.
Oh, wow.
Which sucks. Sucks for the viewer.
Yeah.
Because you're like, as soon as Hercules enters this fight, we know the outcome. There's no...
Which also sucks because Hades is the best.
Well,
I feel bad for him.
Different opinions on
Terrible
that
person,
one.
but I love him. So you're like, okay, well, we know what's going to happen.
So what did Hades do to get them to read his fortune?
He didn't. He
He just kind of calls him over.
Which is
he did.
anytime you want,
He
you're like,
flattered them. He said that they were hot. He not
wow,
that particularly.
sounds like you worked really
He
hard.
was like, "You're looking good." He pulled on one of her hairs and it came off, and he was like, "Oh no!" and tried to put it back on. I think it was him.
Ew, I'm like getting sick.
I know, it's gross. And the hair was just blonde. It was gross. So she's like, "Oh, Hades, what's wrong with this thing?" But grosser, like, "Oh, Hades."
My name is Oracle.
Oracle is her name. All three of them are named Oracle.
Yeah. And they're like, hey, do you want the blue pill or the red pill?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't. What?
Care. Yeah. And so that's all set in the thing. And then he gets Panic and Pain and Panic.
Yeah, I don't like them either.
They suck a lot. And they're like totally useless and they fail at everything they do.
They remind me of Pauly Shore.
Yeah, which is annoying.
Yeah.
So he's like, do this thing. I have this really convenient vial of mortal fluid.
Yeah.
And you're going to give it to the baby.
Because I wouldn't give that to Zeus. That would be too weird.
Right. That's,
oh, God.
Yeah,
I
that's
might
not going
die.
to happen.
Yeah, why is this thing even a thing that exists?
No one knows. So they're like, do that. Pain and Panic, go to Mount Olympus. How they can get up there, I have no idea.
Yeah, where's the security for this place?
Yeah, there's none. Because they get up there and the baby is like just hanging out.
In a
Chilling.
crib.
In a crib on its own, not being watched by anybody. And so they steal him away, which is stupid.
Again,
they could
why-
have just like done it right there and then offed him. Because they
Zeus
can
is-
turn into anything. They can turn into anything. They turn into a snake later, and then he's like, "Ah," and he like puts them together. And
Yeah,
it's
right.
stupid.
He kills the snakes.
Kills
That's
them.
right.
Yeah, but it's like this doesn't make sense. Anyway, they take him down into the earth and they give him the thing, the vial, and they're like, drink this, and he drinks it vigorously, like, oh my god, he wants this. But every last drop, that's the thing. It needs to be every bit of it, otherwise it won't work. So he gets to the very end, and then the old people come along, and who's there? And they get all scared, and breaks, and it breaks, and there's one little drop, and it hits the ground, and it fizzles away. And you're like, oh my god.
But doesn't it like burn through the ground or something?
No, not really. It just fizzles away.
Oh, okay.
So you know that it was like important fluid.
Right,
It was not
yeah,
done. Yeah.
Not consumed.
Not consumed by
No.
Hercules.
Donald is leveling up
But
here.
his glow goes away, and you're like, oh my god, he's
He
not
is
immortal.
not immortal anymore.
And then he gets found by an old dude and his wife, and they're really sweet,
yeah.
and they're the nicest.
But let's real quick touch on what a great father Zeus is. How does he
Yeah.
respond to this terrible
Yeah.
situation?
And then we have another musical number, and they're like, oh, he just looked at them from afar because he didn't want to do anything about it.
Zeus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zeus, the
So
worst. They look at
why
him like-
couldn't he have come home? Because he's not an immortal? God, if only there was somebody in charge of Mount Olympus.
Weird, right?
Who you could appeal to for this rule.
Who seems to just follow any rule he wants, or to just ignore every rule he wants.
And then later, don't they just make Meg immortal? She's like, hey, I'd like this. And they're like, okay.
No.
And they make her. Yeah, they
No,
do.
no,
Yeah, they do.
no.
Oh, they do the opposite.
Yeah,
That's right.
He's like, you're spoiling this.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry.
We're 10% in. Let's go to 80.
Yeah.
Okay, but the witches spoiled it already.
That's
It's
true.
not
That's
my fault.
That is their fault, but it doesn't make it better for you to do it
Yeah,
too.
it sucks.
Now you're like them, and they're
Right.
hideous.
So it's like,
I am hideous
what are we
inside and
talking
out,
about?
though. So Zeus made a terrible father, and he's like looking at his son. He's like, man, I'm sure sad. Too bad I can't visit. Even though I go down and bang countless beautiful women,
I mean,
I can't see my son.
that's not established in the world of the Disney story.
But it is.
That's implied.
But I know it.
Right.
You know it.
Yeah.
So we're a little confused about that. So he goes and lives with his adopted family, who are infinitely better than Zeus and Hera.
Oh, totally.
They're so cute, and they try and like encourage him, and they love him all the time. And even though he ruins everything, Hercules is just too strong.
He's too strong.
Yeah,
He's
and,
like Superman.
but the
He's
kid
like
calls him Jercules. It's unwarranted.
Yeah.
The kid was like, "Oh, you messed this whole like building up, Jercules." Like what?
Why is his name Hercules?
Because it was written on the thing on his. There was a thing on his.
You got a dog tag.
Gotcha.
He had a dog tag.
Yeah, because that's
and they
what
were
Zeus
like,
gives him.
Yeah.
And they take it away from him so he doesn't know.
Yeah.
So he's just like, they're like, oh, it's like the symbol of the gods, and behind it it says Hercules,
Yeah.
which is convenient.
You want to be a dog? We're gonna treat you like a dog. Here's
Yeah.
a dog tag.
Exactly.
Dogules.
Yeah.
So that's how they know, and so his name is retained, which is weird, but it makes sense, I
Right.
guess.
Right.
So when he destroys everything in this area,
Like the whole city.
the whole
You know what? This
city-
is the Superman story that should have
It
been
is.
told and never was.
Yeah.
Not really.
It never should have
He
been
was
told.
too good at coping with everything his whole life. Especially if you watch the new Superman.
Really?
Which don't. It's not
Okay.
good.
Which
Actually,
never.
as more time goes on, I hate it even more.
Really?
I was kind of okay with it when I first saw it. I had some problems, but I thought it was like a good
It's a
movie.
lot like Superman.
Yeah. We're telling Superman means Lion King. That's Hercules.
But I like Hercules as a character, actually.
Yeah.
I like him more. When I recently watched it, I was like, he's pretty cool. He's
Same problem with me and Aladdin. Okay, so I know there has to be conflict, but you notice like in Mulan, the second act conflict is when the let's get down to business guy finds out Mulan is really a guy. That doesn't involve Mulan becoming a bitch. It simply involves conflict that where the traditional storytelling things of like things as low as they can get kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
In Aladdin is a jackass. And in Hercules is a jackass. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
He's
Maybe
an ass.
we might argue on that.
He's
a
an
little.
ass later.
Okay.
He's a son of a bitch. Okay, but we'll get there. Go ahead.
All right.
He's not a son of a bitch yet. He's great. He's
So
just trying to find his place in the
He's
world.
like really awkward looking, but adorable and charming. So they're like, okay, you ruined the whole city. So let me tell you a story about who you are.
Yeah, maybe now.
You're adopted.
So we said they're good parents and they're probably supportive, but
No,
like
it's cute.
that was an issue not telling him anything
No,
until
I think he was too young.
they could have told him, you know what? Be careful. You're clearly not a regular human being.
But he knew that. I sided with the parent. I think they were sweet.
All
I
right.
like them.
Okay.
I like them. So they're like, you are actually not, just a regular person, which is obvious.
Right.
I mean, so they're like, here's the thing, and it's a symbol of the gods, of Zeus. Go away. And they were,
Okay, thanks, bye.
Yeah.
And he was
see
like-
ya later.
and he was like, I will do the thing. I will go the distance. And
I am on my way.
Awful song.
I can
will
go
the
no, it's
distance.
not at all. I don't understand. I don't understand that at all.
What?
It's the best song in the movie.
What?
It's not.
It's not.
On My Way. It's so good.
It's a good
great song.
But it's not the best song.
Well, Chris says it's the worst like Disney song that's ever been made.
It's the worst Disney song of the 90s.
Whoa.
Not even
I
close.
cried when I
I know.
watched it the other day.
It's so good.
It just beats Out There
What is that?
for the worst song.
What is it?
Out there from
Hunchback.
Oh, geez.
Because
I
that
don't
guy has
remember it.
vibrato on
See,
110%
he
the
doesn't
entire
like
song.
bravado, so automatically if the song has bravado, it's the worst song of the 90s.
You're right. That's it. You don't oversimplify things like that
No.
ever either.
No.
Not a once.
I always have perfect, reasonable things to
Well,
say.
I love that song.
It's a good song.
I
so
like
then
it
he
a lot.
meets Zeus.
So he goes to Zeus's temple and he's like, "Who am I, Daddy?" And he's like, "You're my kid."
Yeah.
He animates, and that's terrifying. And Zeus is
Yeah.
stupid. He's like, "What's wrong?" It's like, "You're an animated statue.
yeah.
That's what's wrong."
yeah.
And he's like, "Father?" And he's like, "Duh." Like, I don't.
Yeah.
This is like the story. Is what happened. He's like, "Of course,"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh," and he's just
Yeah,
like,
forgive me
"Well,
for
look-
not realizing when you abandoned me for my
Yeah.
whole life.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you, but I have no explanation for why. I just couldn't tell you until now. This is a
Just
good
didn't get
time."
around to it.
And then he's like, "Okay, well, I'll forgive you for not telling me all they're coming to get me, but can I come home now? Because
Yeah.
I don't belong here." And he's like, "Sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it."
He's like the
because-
dad from Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah,
Like, he's almost the same character.
yeah.
Minus
That's
the
true.
motorcycle.
So he's like, but if you become a hero, we can bring you back.
Yeah.
Well, why? Why is
Why?
that the thing?
It's not a thing.
Why?
It's
Who
not
chose
explained.
that?
It's not explained. And he's like, "I'll do it." And then he's like, "Oh, BT dubs. Here, have a flying horse," which nobody talks about.
Yeah.
And on Earth, they're like, "That's cool." I mean, there's satyrs and centaurs and weird stuff, but you never see another one. It's kind of weird.
Doesn't he meet a female one? Like
Yeah,
at
but
the
it's
end
not.
of
It's
the
not
movie?
real.
That's not important.
I mean, it's not real.
It was a trick to get him to go away.
Oh, I see. I
Hey,
only
okay,
remember.
there's a problem with that. We'll talk about that
Yeah,
later.
we will
too.
talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
Not yet,
So-
though.
the hot horse.
No.
Oh yeah, and she's like shimmy, shimmy, and then
Yeah.
it's really just pain and panic.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Shimmy, shimmy.
Because they can shape
and she has a saddle and is like, "Get on." Like, seriously, it's what it. Okay. It's weird.
Pegasus should have been like,
He went bonkers.
"You're still being my release," and they're like, "No," and they're like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
called her
He's a
bluff.
horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
yeah,
I love
you
it.
you started this, and I'm gonna finish
And
it."
it's Greek, so they do that stuff all the time.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
exactly.